Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Ted Czech. I'm the Public Information Officer for the York County Office of Emergency Management. We've asked you to come here today because of the severe storms that York County experienced last night. And you can see to my left, there's a map of the path of the damage that the people experienced last night. With me today are York County President Commissioner Julie Wheeler, Vice President Commissioner Scott Burford, Commissioner Doug Hoke, and York County Office of Emergency Management Director Chris Weidenhammer. And so now I'll introduce Julie. She's going to say a few words, and following that, we'll have a short question and answer period for you. And thanks again for being here. Here's Julie.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today. Around 7 p.m. yesterday, several severe storms moved through York County, knocking out power to thousands of customers, damaging utility lines and poles, and blocking numerous roads. In the span of 3 hours between 7 and 10 p.m., the York County 911 Center received more than 200 storm-related calls. One storm focused on East Manchester, Manchester, Pelham, Windsor, Lower Windsor, and Springersbury Townships, and the boroughs of East Prospect and Pelham. A separate storm was centered around Hanover and Penn Township. We understand at one point last night there were close to 20,000 customers without power. With utility crews responding swiftly and working through the night, that number has been reduced to about 6,000. We truly appreciate all the efforts of the crews in returning power to as many customers as quickly as possible. In addition, we've been informed by First Energy they are sending 22 additional crews from other coverage areas to help with those already on scene. A near total restoration is anticipated by 11 p.m. this Thursday, according to utility officials. Thankfully, we are not aware of any injuries or deaths related to this storm. Under the advice of the York County Office of Emergency Management, I want to strongly encourage residents to focus on the safety of yourself and the safety of your loved ones. Please keep the following suggestions in mind over the next day. Stay away from down lines, as they might still be live. Please do not attempt to remove down trees or tree limbs. If you do not have power and are in need of air conditioning, seek public spaces such as a library. The Alert Fire Company, which is located at 3118 North George Street in Manchester Township, opened its doors today at 1 p.m. for the public as a cooling center for those who are without power. Make sure your cell phones are charged so that you can receive weather-related alerts. Please be advised that today's forecast from the National Weather Service calls for more storms and has issued a severe thunderstorm watch from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m., with the greatest hazard, once again, being strong winds. The Office of Emergency Management is assessing damage today and is communicating its findings with the National Weather Service, while also offering assistance to all affected municipalities. I want to thank the York County 911 dispatchers and call takers, along with the staff of the Office of Emergency Management, for their collaborative efforts with local emergency management coordinators in answering the call when the storm struck. Thank you for their time today, and please, let's continue to stay safe out there and watch out for each other. Thank you. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to entertain those at this time.
Can you give us a sense where the hardest hit areas of York County were during the storm?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really those areas that I talked about. So East Manchester, Manchester, Pelham, Windsor, Lower Windsor, and Springersbury Townships, and then the boroughs of Pelham and East Prospect, as well as Hanover and Penn Township.
So what's your sense talking with the power company and your first responders as to where we are compared to where we were?
Well, obviously, we've made a lot of progress. As I said, initially last night we had 20,000 folks without power. Now we're down to 6,000 folks without power. So our utility companies are working hard, along with our local responders, to restore power and ensure that folks are safe.
So among the stuff that was going on out there, the wires, trees down on wires, roads blocked, what are you hearing was the greatest common thread among the damage?
think the greatest common thread, in addition to the rain, was the wind. It was very windy. Trees uprooted, lines down, those types of things.
With the heat, how much of a factor is this for people?
Sure, if you're without power, it is significant, right, because you can't run your air conditioning. So certainly is a concern. We do have, as I said, the Alert Fire Company is open to house folks who are, without power and need cooling spaces. Certainly our public libraries are also a great resource. We have many of those, actually across the county that people can go to and get some respite care.
And then with the upcoming, you brought it up there, Julia, about the upcoming storms that are coming through again, that might make things go back a little bit. How worried are you guys about that, and how are you guys trying to prepare for something like that?
Well, I think the great thing is we have a great emergency response staff, both here and out at our local municipalities. So I believe that we're prepared and we'll address any situations as they arise.
How unusual, you guys got a lot of calls from the 911 center last evening. When you look at those numbers now, how would you characterize it? Is that a massive amount of calls that came in from people?
Certainly, it was a massive amount of calls in a short amount of time.
And I know you just touched on this, but so once again, since a lot of folks are not going to have air conditioning tonight, so who should they reach out to, and where can they get them?
So certainly they can reach out to the local municipalities. They can certainly reach out to, our Coalition for Homelessness, for example. Even though they deal with homelessness, they do deal with placing a lot of folks who are without shelter. So there's multiple resources that folks can certainly can reach out to. Worst case scenario, you can always call 911 and they can help direct your call to an agency that could help you.
I don't know if you've personally talked to any of the folks who are directly impacted by the storm damage, but have any of the stories that you have now known really impress you? I don't mean in a positive way, obviously, but I mean, what did you hear from across the county as to what people went through?
Yeah, well, we have teams out there now. Our emergency management team is, out at these local municipalities assessing the damages. So from what we've heard so far, again, it's damages related to wind, uprooting trees, lawn furniture finding its way into another person's lawn, power lines down.
So what is the status in terms of the number of roads in your county that are still closed as of right now?
That I'm going to defer to Chris to answer.
Can you go up to the mic, please? Sure. And could you identify yourself?
Yes, my name's Chris Weidenhammer. I'm Director of the Office of Emergency Management. Right now, we're aware of approximately 15 roadways throughout the county that are closed at this point in time. Obviously, that number fluctuates because they open a road, and we've seen calls that trees may be leaning, and now they come down again, so the road's closed. So that's not a consistent number. It's fluctuating, but 15 roadways is a good number.
So what is your estimated time frame for reopening those roads?
Well, again, it really comes down to the power companies. A utility line that's on the ground is much different than a pole that is snapped in half, and we're seeing images of poles that are just sheared off. So that requires the utility companies basically to replace that whole pole. So the time frame to reopen that roadway is going to be a lot longer than putting a wire back up to a pole.
Can you share with us your impressions of the damage to your town?
The damage was significant. As President Commissioner Wheeler had pointed out, most of it was wind. There wasn't any flooding of any type. But we've seen images of trees down on homes, trees down on vehicles, trees down on moving vehicles during this storm. So the images that are out there are quite compelling, but I think the wind really surprised a lot of people. As we talked about, we are in discussions with the National Weather Service. And we're really trying to determine, initial thoughts are microbursts, but I don't think a small tornado's out of the question. But that's going to be for them to determine through.
Can you tell us where that might be?
Pretty much in the area that the commissioner had spoke about. Basically, you go from Manchester, down into Windsor Township. It followed that line, and by images and by videos, and obviously reviewing radar data, the National Weather Service will be able to determine if it was just microbursts or a small tornado.
But that has not been determined.
It has not been determined at this point in time, no.
Is anybody homeless as a result of the storm?
No one that we are aware of at this point in time is homeless.
Have you geared up your staff here in light of the current forecast? Are you folks ready for another round?
On emergency management, we're always ready. As the commissioner had mentioned, our staff is really out in the field right now, and I know you mentioned previously about talking to folks. We are talking to some folks. Other folks are at work or other places today, but we're really getting out there and trying to assess the damage, and that's kind of what's populating our map over there, as far as power lines down, trees down, that type of thing.
How important was it that you guys had no injuries through all this so far?
Certainly, we don't like anyone to be injured, and certainly no loss of life. So we are really blessed that our residents are safe, no one is hurt to our knowledge, and we have had no deaths as a result of this storm. So we're very thankful for that.
Has anyone called in and say they spotted a funnel or anything close that looks like a tornado?
Not to this point. We haven't received any of those calls. I would just,
The National Weather Service is not coming down here to investigate any.
not at this juncture. Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great. The only thing I would add, just so you're aware, we had closed our Pleasant Valley Road facility today due to power outage. Power is restored, and tomorrow we will resume normal working hours back at the Pleasant Valley Road facility. So just as little.
Thank you all for being
Hey,
here.
thanks.
We appreciate it.
Thanks.